Vi ska gå in i life science-sektorn och vi kommer att få börja med att träffa ett bolag som har forskat fram en kandidat som kan förhindra svampsjukdomar. Och det kommer vi få höra mer om. Och det här är verkligen inget litet problem, även om man kan tro det. Vi har med oss Tine Kold Olesen som kommer göra den här presentationen, och vi kommer att switcha över till engelska eftersom Tine kommer från Danmark och vi tror att det blir lättare att förstå. Welcome to Stockholm, Tine, and you can go ahead with your presentation.
Okay, so maybe I should say that before we start the actual presentation. So a little bit about my background. I'm new in the position as a VD for Biosergen, or CEO. Sorry, we're in English now. So I'm the CEO of Biosergen. And before that, I was working 2.5 years as Chief Operating Officer in Biosergen. And before that, I have been in small companies, bigger companies, and done pharmaceutical drug development for the last 30 years. So let's go into Biosergen and what we're doing. So a little bit of the background here. New numbers came out in January 2024, and the number says that 6.5 million people are affected each year by urgent, life-threatening fungal disease. There are 3 elements we have to remember here. One is who gets it. So everyone with a weakened immune system is at high risk of getting a life-threatening fungal disease. It's often cancer patients, transplant patients, people with HIV, but it also includes patients that have COPD, KOL in Swedish, and diabetes. Within the fungal world, there is a risk of resistant strains. It's a little bit like with bacteria, antibiotics. The bacteria forms resistance, and the same happens actually in this fungal world. So it's primarily due to the fact that you routinely use it in clinic, but also due to the use in agriculture. Then one extremely important thing also is the high mortality. So if you take a disease like aspergillosis, it's underdiagnosed, in particular in patients with COPD, and lung cancer, which leads to high mortality rates. On the right side here, you can see aspergillosis. The estimated incidence or prevalence is approximately 2 million people. So 2 million people are hit by a serious aspergillosis disease every year, and approximately 75% of these patients die of the disease. Candidiasis, 1.5 million, 40% dies, and so forth. So in total, when we look at the life-threatening fungal diseases, then the mortality rate is 2.5 million deaths due to this invasive fungal infections. They're life-threatening condition. They require a rapid diagnosis and also a rapid inset of treatment. Which, if you think about cancer, and the highest mortality rate within cancer is lung cancer. 1.7 million patients die of lung cancer. And here we are talking about 2.5 patients that are dying of invasive fungal infection. So one thing, this high mortality rate, the high incidence, that means that WHO and also something called Center for Disease Control, which is organizations both in US and EU, have put it on the agenda as an emerging global health threat. It's not only because of the high incidence that it's on the awareness of any government or WHO. It's also because of this resistance formations. So it is a growing problem, and there is no safe antifungal treatment with broad efficacy available today. The awareness in media is also increasing. And one of the things is, so here you can see it's all about resistance. There are some fungal strains where we don't have a treatment today, but you can actually still die of it. Then here at the bottom, you can see Berlingske. Berlingske is a prominent Danish newspaper, and Berlingske in the month of January had five articles on these diseases, because it turns out that the leading hospital in Denmark, Rigshospitalet, is infected with mold, and you have known that for at least 5 years. So this is a story from the newspaper, and it's all about Julius, and Julius was diagnosed with leukemia in 2018, and he was hospitalized. Then Julius, in the hospital, got infected with a life-threatening fungal infection. The infection was airborne mold growing inside the hospital, and he was on a respirator. Julius was not the only one. There were several other children with cancer, immune-suppressed children, and they also got infected. And his lungs today do not function normally. He needs an inhaler to manage his daily life, and his quality of life is affected and has been for the last 5 years. So this here is a little bit more about the hospital, because one thing is in the hospital. In a hospital, you test for mold. You know you have it, and then you should do something about it. But here, this building was built in the 1970s, so how many buildings out there is not tested for mold? How many patients with COPD or diabetes live in these buildings that has mold? Buildings that were built in an inadequate way in the 70s. So again, I have to stress, it's not only cancer patients, it's also patients that have chronic diseases as COPD and diabetes. So what are we doing? So we have a compound called BST-005. It's a novel polyene macrolide. Polyene macrolide is the class of drug that BST belongs to, and it is to treat severe invasive fungal disease. It is, you know the polyene macrolides, we know the polyenes. What you have done with BST-005 is that you have optimized it. You have made it more selective to the fungal, and that means you would have fewer side effects. So it wouldn't affect any other organ in your body, but primarily focus on the fungus. So it's more safe than what you have on the market of polyene macrolides. We don't have the same side effects. And another very, very important thing is that it is fungicidal. That means it kills the fungus. And by killing the fungus, you avoid mutation and resistance formation. So BST-005 is broad spectrum. It's killing the fungal, so there's a low risk of resistance formation, and it has fewer side effects. So this here is our traffic light. So what you see up here at the top is the different fungal strains. So it's Candida, Aspergillus, Fusarium, Mucor, Cryptococcus. And when it says yes, that means we can hit the fungus, we can kill the fungus, and it goes away. That's a polyene macrolide. We're fungicidal, we kill. There's another one, amphotericin B. Here, amphotericin B has been on the market for many, many years, but it has severe side effects. Among other things, it can lead to kidney damage, and therefore it's not super widely used. Then we have class of drugs, azole. You can see they're red, they're yellow, they're not broad-spectred. They cannot hit the same fungal strains. We have the echinocandins. Again, they're not broad-spectrum, and none of these are actually killing the fungus. They're only inhibiting the fungus, which means you can get the resistance formation. This here is a mice model where we have given the mice candidiasis, and on the top here we have the polyene macrolides. You can see it's the most effective drug. Below here we have the azoles, the echinocandins. They're not as effective. They are standard of care today, because if you go up and treat with the one polyene macrolide that is already on the market, then you have the risk of side effects with the kidneys. Here, the kidneys, coming back to that. NAG, this is NAG. So NAG is a biomarker for kidney damage. And the higher release of NAG, the more damage to the kidneys. And if you look at the dark blue line, that's our competitor. That's amphotericin B. Then if you look at the light blue line, that's BSG 005. So in our models for kidney damage, it shows that BSG is safe. We've also made a phase 1 study. That's a study in healthy volunteers. And it's a classical design phase 1 study, 38 healthy males and females receiving doses of BSG 005. The adverse events we saw were mild to moderate in severity, but there were no clinically relevant changes in laboratory parameters. That included the kidney, the liver, and potassium. This is where we know our competitor has issues. So in humans, healthy volunteers, we could not see any signal of these side effects. So we say BSG 005 are safe in healthy subjects. The next thing we are going to do is we're going to test it in humans. And that will be the first patient study. And we will start here. We send in India a clinical trial application. We are still waiting for an import license for the drug. But we're going to start these 15 patients and see if we can actually treat with BSG 005, whether it's effective and also safe. 2025, we're going to focus on producing new clinical trial material, and 2026, we're going into a study in aspergillosis. This is the detailed plan of the actual study, and one thing I think is important is that these 15 patients, they have no other treatment options. So we have selected a population where either they could not tolerate our competitor, amphotericin B, they have severe side effects, so you have to stop treatment, start them on something else, and that could be BSG 005. And the other part of the population is those that have been treated with standard of care, but resistance has formed, and therefore they need another type of treatment. So it is a rescue therapy in the case of the 15 patients. We take the worst cases and we see if we can treat them. Then something else that is worth mentioning is, so we start now, and then top-line results are expected in Q4 2024. This here is a slide on the global antifungal drug market, and it's approximately $16 billion. These are numbers from 2017, or 19, I think. So they don't consider this enormous increase that I started out with. But if we look at the numbers that we have from 2019, then the polyenes, they are approximately 10% of the market. The polyenes are the segment where we aim first, because that's a treatment in intensive care units. So we expect that these 1.6 billion, we will take a big part of that. The second part is because we don't form resistance and we seem to be safe to give, we're going to eat in here in the future. Then what we did in 2023 is we signed a co-development agreement with Alkem Laboratories. Alkem is the 5th largest pharmaceutical company in India, and they have affiliates globally. And Alkem will fund the phase 2 and phase 3 clinical trials in India, and that means that it will reduce our cost. They generate data, they pay for the studies, and that will reduce Biosergen's overall development cost. We can then piggyback on Alkem's studies, and these studies, so we will let Alkem, will agree with Alkem on a protocol, and then they will start and we will piggyback on the data. So we collect data from the rest of the world. And we need to collect data from the rest of the world to ensure that we can get approval in EU and in US. Why India? India has a high incidence of these invasive fungal diseases. So that means we can run the studies more efficient and much faster than we would be able to if we talk about EU or US. In return, Alkem will receive the exclusive commercial rights for India, and we will get a small royalty from India. This is more the further development. I think we'll skip that. This is the ownership as it stands today. And I don't know how much time we have, Jan, because we have Niels, who can maybe talk a little bit about our rights issue. Yeah, if that's okay.
Yes, can you hear me? Okay. My name is Niels Laursen. I'm CFO in Biosergen. Tina has just told you about our development plans, and I'll tell you about our funding plans, how we're funded, and how we intend to be funded. We have just recently announced a rights issue, and yesterday we disclosed our prospectus, and tomorrow starts the subscription period. We are offering shares with a warrant attached to it, and what we can receive in the share issue is 40.5 million if we have 100% success, and that will, of course, the proceeds will be here in March. The warrants that are attached, they will mature in November, and if we are 100% successful in that exercise, then we can receive approximately 68 million to the company. The shares, the subscription price on the shares will be 30 euro, and the exercise price on the warrants will be between 30 and 50 euro, depending on the share price in October. 65% of the issue is secured, and with this secured amount, we can get through 24 and 25, so we can do our trial in India, and we can manufacture a product, and we can reach 26, where our partner Alkem will start the phase 2 trials and fund the patients in India. So this is the offer we are going out with, and as said, the company will be funded for the next 2 years with this issue already secured.
Okay, thank you. Very interesting. I do have some questions, and thank you for your good presentation. I was wondering a bit about the Alkem. How you managed to do the deal, and what was the reason behind it?
So I think we decided, or we have spoken to different partners globally, And then we actually decided to focus a little bit on India because we knew that would give us, we could get these patients faster. So if we could get a very good kind of synergy between an Indian company and Biosergen, that could be the best, because then we had a local partner in a territory where we wanted to do development. So we contacted different companies, and Alchem was, how can I say, they were genuinely interested in the indication. It was like everyone knew somebody who had a life-threatening fungal disease, an uncle, a cousin, and they wanted to do something about it. So I think the ethical aspect was important for them, the motivation, and then I think the deal is also beneficial for them.
Interesting. Usually we see milestones and upfronts in deals. In this case, you have not disclosed that. But do you have any deals besides the royalty with Alchem, if this will work out for you?
If you planned any?
No, if there are any other additional to the royalty you will get, are there any other milestones in the deal?
I was thinking about financial elements in the deal.
If you're successful, will there be an additional amount of payment for you?
The deal is that Alchem will have the right to the Indian market.
Yes.
Exclusively, and we will get a royalty on the sales in India.
Yes, and so Alchem will have India, and for the rest of the world, how are you going to proceed with that? Are you in need of another partner?
We're quite sure that we need to go out and find partners elsewhere in the world to get the knowledge from the different regions and getting the support to do the trials. So
do you need a partner for phase 2, or will you do the phase 2 and then try to search for a partner, or how are you thinking about that?
We need to have discussions with the FDA, EMA to find out how can we utilize some of the Indian data? How can we utilize them in trials for the regions, and what are they requiring? And then we'll find out how to design the trials.
So you will start the phase 2 study, and after a while you will search for a partner.
I think we're always open for partnership. I think the first milestone we will get is these 15 patients. If the data is interesting enough, I'm sure somebody will call. If it turns out that it's not a done deal, or you could do more, etc., we'll try to find somebody who can support us in phase 2. Whether we have to go by ourselves and raise more money, that's one way, or the other way is, as you said, to find a partner that could take the rest of the world, for sure. I don't think Alchem right now is interested outside India. So it will require additional funding to do phase 2, whether it's a partner or it's new investment. I don't know. But I think when we see the first 15 patients, I think if it is interesting, I think there will be somebody who will contact us.
Yes, I hope so. And the phase 1b study, you will have a start date for that now, or is everything as it should be?
Everything is progressing. We submitted the clinical trial application in September. We're waiting for ethics committee approval. We're also waiting for, in India, you need an import license for the drug, so we're also waiting for that. And we expect to get the first patient in by end March.
by end March. And during the study, will we get any results during this study, or is it a closed study that we have to wait?
Super good question.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I forgot to say that. It's an open label study, and when it's open label, we can actually report on the study ongoingly. And we have 3 cohorts, so we will come out and report with press releases the results after each cohort. And then we expect to have top line Q4 2024.
Okay, thank you.